Welcome to Chronicles of Old Singapore. Charles Ngui, we have waited for him, since that very first podcast in October, I think. And, Toronto, then we know how bad the internet is, and now at least we can see Charles very clearly in person in Singapore on his holiday escaping from the severe winter over there. Welcome to Singapore, Charles. How are you? Actually, we have a lot of rain recently. How are you in Singapore?
Well, I'm slowly but surely getting adjusted to the weather here. It's nice back in home country.
Yeah, yeah. Charles really half Singapore and half Canada in terms of where he is. So we're very happy to be able to continue this series on Old Clementi. We had just to kind of recap the first episode, right, of Chronicles of Old Singapore. We had kind of started where Charles was staying in Clementi Road. I believe was it 105 Clementi Road,
That's correct.
and the Kampong Kaja of elephants nearby. I always remember that one. We then were kind of nearing the end of the podcast. We talked a little bit about Beauty World Market. And then I thought that was the end. And Charles said, no, there's a lot more to do. And there's a lot more. And indeed, he sent me his notes yesterday. And I saw the list of things that he wants to go through to kind of take us down the memory lane of Old Clementi after the Second World War from about 1951 to the mid 1970s. Which I think, okay, let's do it. Then, I said to Charles, we should complete our journey through Old Clementi. So maybe just to situate the kind of discussion we're going to have, we don't really know a lot about the history and the heritage of this old place. Clementi, of course, we know today as the new town. Even if you go to the HDB website today, HDB will say Clementi it used to be before New Town was built. The area where the new town is today and the flats in that area, kampongs and villages, right? That is the HDB version of Old Clementi. But of course, the Clementi that Charles is going to be talking about is not exactly in that area. It used to be in the area, a long road, which is called Clementi Road. The area currently where we have the Polytechnic, the UNISIM, or used to be UNISIM, now the Singapore University of Social Sciences. That area, right? And for me, the area between Bukit Timah and Clementi New Town today. Clementi is also quite interesting in recent years because of the KTM railway, that mix of human heritage, cultural heritage, and the natural heritage of that area, which a lot of Singaporeans are very fond of. Well, guess what? There is still another, Old Clementi in addition to the KTM railway and that part of the rail corridor. So I think we are looking at a very rich history of human settlement and development in that area before the HDB and the EDB came about to redevelop that whole area for housing and industrialization. So this is the Old Clementi between the 50s and the mid 1970s, and Charles is our guide today for this little voyage into the past. Charles, so I'm wondering how we should start today. I think you already had this itinerary in mind. So maybe I'll let you introduce it.
All right. Thanks, Kaseng, for this time and for those who have watched the earlier episode one. I'm talking about this area from Bukit Timah Road, where the junction of Timah Plaza is, which is actually 11 and a quarter milestone, going all the way towards Pasir Panjang, ending up at 7 and a quarter milestone, uh, Paspanjang Road, West Coast Road junction. I'm using this references to the milestone because in those days that was the only reference of a specific location. And just for information, all these references of were taken from a central point, which is a general post office on Collier Quay. So basically, I'm just bringing some childhood memories of that area. You know, so you picture yourself with me walking from Gitima Plaza, going towards in that direction of Paspanjang. Along this road, there's only one bus that plies that area. It was called Easy Bus. I like the name because it's really easy. It's an area where really it takes possibly like bus services like once every half hour that runs from both ends of Beauty World Market, that's where the terminus is, and then going right all the way to Alexandra Village, which is the other end of the terminal. So this is Clementi Road as we are moving, and we have just passed the Green Bus Depot. The Green Bus Depot is on my left. This is a huge area where all the green buses are parked, and also there are workshops where the vehicles are repaired and walking along this dim dark road at night when coming back from my work, because once I'm past 11:45, there's no more bus service. So the only I'll need to walk home, which is about a mile away from the main road. So I'm going up this hill here, and one of the most memorable memories is just at the crest of the hill. There will be a very fierce dog hiding quietly, and for many cyclists, and even for people who are not familiar with that area, they will probably have a shock of their life because this dog will come out suddenly and bark and probably would want to attack you. So with some experience, I would avoid that area and get onto the opposite side of the road. Having survived that dog attack, we are walking down towards an area closer to where Ngui Polytechnic is located today. And this is quite an interesting area because there is at those days, there was a stream that was crossing the road with, from the right side of the road towards the left. And this stream leads alongside a path that goes into some homes in a rural area. And in this home there, from recall, there were some Malay families, but interestingly enough, at the end of that, probably about a quarter walk inside, there are three families that are orchid plant. They run an orchid plant farm there, and not only do they farm orchids there, they also pollinate, and I visited them on their they show the flowers and how they germinate the seeds of the orchid. So it's quite interesting how a little industry tucked way inside this path could be doing something like that. And then moving on along Clementi Road, it takes us to another area called Lorong Lidi. This is just opposite where Unistim is today. Yeah, so this area, which is a landmark of Lorong Lidi, Lidi, is a temple. This temple can be seen from the main road of Clementi Road, and it serves actually a landmark for people who are not familiar with the area in those days. It's that road that is unmetal goes downhill, leads you into a low area beside a stream, and then up on a slope. And in this area, there are many families. My last guesstimate then was probably about 30 families, and these were just people living in wooden houses. Some of them were constructed uh, simply from whatever uh, wooden material that was available. And some of those houses didn't have any house numbers. So the postman has an interesting job trying to deliver mail as well. That area also had a poultry farm, and for many years, it provided for many of the people staying in that area a cheaper source of getting fresh eggs. And of course, you related to that will be smells of chicken and chicken poop. And every now and then there would be also lorries just moving in that area, bringing chicken feed and all that stuff, or chickens for sale to the market. This
Was
area,
Lorong Lidi a Chinese kampong or a Malay kampong?
it's basically a Chinese town.
Chinese
China.
kampong. Was there a specific dialect group?
I think it's a mixture, because many of the people who lived there were just folks that were looking for affordable housing. So you had a mixture of Teochew and Hokkien people. Maybe the dialect groups of Kek and Hainanese was also present there. There were one or two Malay families, but noticeably there's one area which an elderly lady, she probably had access to that whole that portion of that land there, had actually erected little cubicles next to the main building that was rented out to workers that were looking for temporary housing. So that area was also another. Um, it adds color to the whole area of Lorong Lidi. A noticeable social point at this Lorong Lidi is a huge well, probably about I would say 8 feet in diameter, or 2.5 meters. And this well is quite deep, and it's this location where uh, the kampong people would be drawing water from the well to do washing of clothes, and even collecting water, and carrying them on in kerosene tins um, back to their home, because at that time some of these areas did not have pipe water. The other
Was this also the case for your house? Did you also use well water?
no, we were fortunate in that sense. Our homes or houses were built pre-war, and the right at the main road of Clementi Road, so we had access to water. Yeah. The other interesting area is that because of the temple, which actually is I'm from what I'm told, it's actually like a nunnery, where nuns are living there. And this is a Chinese temple. I was told it's related to the Peranakan speaking community, and they are Chinese, of course, and they have a sister um, temple up in Cuppage Road off Orchard Road. That's the link. So from when there are major events, for example, Vesak Day, Chinese New Year, when people are coming to the temple to pray for blessings for the year and so on, it will be quite a crowded area. And so this will be another gathering point for people that are not from Clementi area. So yeah, so these are some of the memories of
Did
Lorong Lidi.
did the temple have a name?
Um, I believe it had probably in
Yeah.
dialect speaking. Yeah. Um,
Did it have
it's
like a specific deity or something?
um, I've been in there when I was small. I vaguely remember there was some figures of the goddess of mercy,
Mm.
and in this large temple, which is actually like a bungalow style, they had different areas of the temple, but the most significant was the goddess of mercy. In another area, there will be another god, and yeah, there'll be yeah. That's are some of the other interesting thing is that the people who the nuns who live there and also serve and take care of the needs of the temple, they are also pretty good cooks. And one of the memorable occasions when there's a Chinese festival, they would be offering a community meal. Whoever wants to can have a meal there, and was pleasantly surprised to find that they have a sambal, which is like something that would go with your plain rice. And instead of typically sambal would be just chili and meat or onions, they would use, because they are vegetarian, they would use mushrooms as the main ingredient in the sambal. Then they would also sell nutmegs. They have a couple of nutmeg trees within the grounds there, and they've been very diligent. They harvest the nutmegs uh, and process them, put them in the sun, and then suddenly you have got very nice crispy nutmeg slices as appetizers for your food. Yeah, so going back to joining Clementi Road again, we are just going down this winding road. And on the left hand side, I remember there's what I would describe as a water hole. Actually, I don't know the origins, but I was told that before the time I was born, there this hole has been existing. Basically, it's a collection point for water, spring water that is flowing down from the hillsides. But that the fact that it's so well planned and constructed with cement, it also provides a location there where families could do their washing of laundry. And it's pretty interesting because whatever water that is coming, it's a continuous, I would say, all year round. This fresh water would be flowing through that water and feeding into the stream running uh, into the area of Lorong Lidi. Also, the one of the distractions as a kid would be because of this water catchment area, there will be fishes like guppies and occasionally some fighting fishes that probably have escaped from somewhere. Occasionally some catfish, an eel, and I still remember the snakehead, another kind of freshwater fish can be found in this area. So these are some of the pastimes where when we are playing around with the other kampong boys, they would be showing a little of their skills in the streams there. So joining the main road opposite this watering hole, which is actually opposite the Unison and the SUSS. is another poultry farm on the right-hand side of the road. It's called Union Poultry Farm. And Union Poultry Farm, it's, I think in the 50s, I'm told, is run by a Chia family. So this Chia family, when they had this poultry farm running, they will, this is a farm for eggs and chicken as well. But due to some of the chicken epidemics, I think they stopped that after a while, and they converted that to a restaurant. They were also doing dog breeding in the early days, in between their transition from a poultry farm into a kind of an eating place, because that area of Clementi Road, you go hungry. There's nothing there for you to eat unless So they offer that as a place for people to come and visit and then eat there. They are famous for their what they call chi pao kai, or paper wrapped chicken. And so then leading on this Clementi Road, we're coming up a hill slopes. It's quite interesting. You will then during those days, at that age, probably I was about 14, 15. There was a lot of talk about the development in that area that was upcoming. Um, you hear heavy equipment moving, and I soon found out that actually at this location called Lorong Gaung, Gaung, Lorong Gaung. It's a road towards the right that leads to a dump. This is a dump which is about half a mile from the main road, and some factories use that as to dump their industrial waste. Uh, of clear memories was um, the batteries. Some of it had a marking of ever-ready batteries, and I was just doing some research and recall that actually the Union Carbide factory, ever-ready battery, was up in Upper Bukit Timah Road. And those days they didn't have a proper way of waste disposal. They will find any area and then they will dump it in there. Yeah, so this is that dump. And
Yeah, I was wondering where the industrial waste came from, right? So it's kind of Clementi was the dumping ground for the Bukit Timah industries.
yes, I think they were quite careful. Whoever was dumping stuff there, they didn't really, they did dump things there. It was more of industrial waste like broken glass, some crates, some furniture, and interestingly, that area, you would really brave through all that the undergrowth, you will come out to an area called Eng Kong Park today, which is off Totak Road. So that's but that area is a dead end. That Lorong Gaung is a dead end. But the other remarkable thing about that Lorong Gaung is actually the location of the tunnel that runs across Clementi Road and connects the Malayan Railway, the KTM Railway. That railway track was constructed, I think, over a couple of years in the mid 50s, mid 60s. I'm sorry, from Bukit Timah railway station, cutting through that area through Ulu Pandan, and then ending up in Jurong Industrial Estate. During those days of the construction, for an extended period of time, because they were basically cutting through hills, very high hills those days, and so with all the heavy equipment in there, there was water catch. Water was, it was a waterlogged for quite a while. until they developed that area further into a proper um, level for rail tracks to be laid. Then that area of Clementi Road also was the became the um, nursery grounds for a very famous nursery called Corona Nursery. Corona Nursery had also an outlet along Orchard Road where they were selling their orchids and whatever plants in there. But it was a pretty nice sight as you're walking along Clementi Road to find out that there will be rows and rows of orchids along that area. These hills were areas that my late father brought us as young children on Sunday to have a walk on the hillsides, and that's where we learn how to uh, move along hill slopes because there is no proper uh, track in there. It's very slippery. And then part of the learning lessons was how to avoid the cow poop or cow dung because basically that area uh, herds of cows just going through the hills there. Probably they were probably going from one area of Ulu Pandan up to Dairy Farm, which is up Upper Bukit Timah Road. So these cows will be those days they will be roaming uh, in a herd, but other than the cow herd, which will try and keep the cows off the road, um, you know, this is an interesting sight as I still remember. Now, this area now brings us to an area where we know it today as Mowbray Camp. Mowbray Camp is actually where the dog unit, former British Army dog unit, the dog unit has been in existence since the 1950s, I believe, and the dog handlers there will be um, most of the time walking these dogs in the morning for their exercises. Um, this location of Mowbray Camp is actually where Ulu Pandan Road sits today. And this is a very interesting area because right at the junction there is also a bus terminus for Hockley bus. Of course, because it's a bus terminus, Easy Bus stops at that location as well. And this terminus there provides commuters, uh, passengers, a possibility to go from Bukit Timah to Outram Road, where the Singapore General Hospital is located. Um, this area is also has a lot of history. I've not explored that area, but from memory, it is. I'm told there's an area where big guns on the both sides of the hill, left and right hand side of Ulu Pandan, that was used in the last World War, were located. And then the other memorable part of this area is a British military cemetery. And that location is where Pine Grove is located today. Yeah. Um, moving along Ulu Pandan Road will bring you to two other, those days they were called as Singapore Infantry Regiment, 1st and 2nd Battalion. And then it will lead you to Holland Road. But I'm going to take you back to this road that I'm very familiar with, Clementi Road. And we are at this junction of Clementi Road and Ulu Pandan. We are moving along this rural road, narrow, and we see on the right-hand side two concrete posts And there is a marking there from my memories. They put there as Colombo Camp. Colombo Camp, as I'm told, is a training area for the British Army. And that road is out of bounds. As, and if there would be some people who are getting in there, they will be told off by whatever troops that could be practicing there. I would remember hearing sound of firing and some exercises because that whole area was unnatural, undeveloped, a lot of undergrowth in that area, and that's Colombo Camp. This will be just before the mosque along Commonwealth East, Commonwealth Avenue East, because that's one area which was this whole area are just full of what we call buttercups plants. This is a buttercup plant which has yellow flowers and a very broad leaf as big as my palm, and these leaves are harvested and sold as packing material. It's used to pack tofu. It's used to pack tempeh. Different household industries will be home industries will be using as packaging material. And my favorite memory of this buttercup leaves is for cai gui, fried, uh, rice cakes, and they would pack it in there, fold it very nicely. I still remember but they couldn't escape the oils that will be leaking from the chai gui. Yeah. Now this, as we are passing this location, we are going up a slope, and this slope actually leads us to an area called Sussex Estate. Sussex Estate is where Dover Road is located. Uh, this area has been famous during the British Army days. I think the Yale University sits in that area. Also, the Warren Golf Club, I apologize, is also on that location on Dover Road. And it's a memorable area because when the British Army met their families that were staying there, um, there will be my first introduction to a food truck. This will be an ice cream truck that will come to that area 2 or 3 times a week, and you will hear that because they would have music, very child-friendly, nice nursery rhymes from the speakers of this truck, and they will be selling ice cream from this vendors from that ice cream truck. I think the other part of the highlight of Sussex Estate was also that because many British families were staying there, they will also be involved in some community projects. They would want to befriend the community and offer their services to teach English and all that. But I think there was a big gap in those days because none of them could speak English. So they were basically living their own lives while we uh, living along Clementi Road were just also living our own lives. So we are moving from that area down this road, which incidentally, um, because of the British families that were staying there, um, Singapore Traction Company, STC, a bus service, started a bus service number 17 that was running all the way from, I think, from Shenton Way. It will wind its way along Orchard Road and then end up into this area passing Sussex Estate, ending near Raja Road. Now, this Raja Road location and terminus is actually another landmark in the area. It's what we call as Kampong Tulok, Tullock. Kampong Tulok is actually the name, the spouse of the then British Army officer. They had built up merit quarters, as they call it, for the Malay regiment in that area. So that was another catchment of people living along Clementi Road, and that bus service 17 could provide a facility for people to get onto Orchard Road. So suddenly names like Fitzpatrick, CK Tang comes to mind because that was my only possibility to get to that area as a schoolboy. Then we are going up this hill there along Clementi Road. This whole area it's basically has a lot of undergrowth, more plants and trees. And then looking at it today, it's very memorable because on the left hand side is actually where the NUS School of Engineering is located, and on the right hand side is mosque called Masjid di Raja, and I believe it was built somewhere in the early 60s to service or to provide religious location where Muslims could meet and pray up on that hill. And this hill there is very memorable as well because that actually provides a very good picturesque view of West Coast and Pasir Panjang of the sea from that location. I think then going down on the left hand side is that area also inhabited by British Army families called Kenridge or Island View. And they have names which are all mainly associated from origins from the United Kingdom, Medway Park, Prince Edward, and so on. That whole area is very scenic and basically it's close to civilians. But if you are someone living in the vicinity, you could still have a nice hike there because it brings us up to the hill slopes of Kenridge with a very nice view of Queenstown, and then on the other side, very nice view of South Buona Vista Road and also of Pasir Panjang. Those days there were no wharves there, but it was a very nice area. This will take us to the final stretch of Clementi Road, and on both sides of Clementi Road, on the left and right hand side, will be huge buildings, well constructed and with covered buildings. These are army warehouses, and I remember there were signs called BOD, which stands for Base Ordnance Depot. They were used to store whatever things in there. The thought of ordnance sends shivers down my spine as a kid. I remember when I found out what ordnance means. But anyway, this is the area that finally brings us to the junction of Clementi Road, Pasir Panjang Road on the left, and West Coast Road on the right. The other famous watering hole at this junction there is West Point Gardens, a very popular area where people, couples and families, yeah, mainly it's more couples getting there for tea dance, which was very popular at that time. Um, you could get in there for a snack or so, but those were just things beyond my means. Yeah, so I hope this little walk, memory lane down Clementi Road, does fill in the blanks. Obviously, if you hear this and you're living along Clementi Road, one would wonder if all these things that I've just shared with you were uh, memories at all, because to those who are just using that area, which is NUS today, the Kentridge bus terminus, it looks completely different. But you will find that if you walk to that area, you will find buildings that has marking of 1903 on the highest point of the buildings around that area.